It's like a shark, NATO, except with poop.
I'm not happy.
I don't need Elizabeth Warren or the government giving away my money.
Calling Mike Bloomberg an oligarch has implications in this country that I think are unfair and unreasonable.
I care. That's it.
Makes you think of some rich person who got their money off of oil in Russia, who's taking advantage of a broken and dysfunctional system.
Bernie Sanders saying, the country's corrupt, our system's corrupt. Be careful about that language, Bernie. You know, be careful.
Oh, well, I'm sorry.
Who's got a hammer?
Hey everybody, round the nation, Waldorf Nation. Jeff Waldorf here. Welcome to the show. Little bit of a spoiler. You already know in the title what we're going to talk about. Of course, we've got Rudy Giuliani, the king himself. A little bit of trouble today. We're going to talk about that. I know. Diving in. Happy Wednesday, everybody. Hopefully everybody's having a pretty good day. I know I am. We're going to have some fun talking about Rudy Giuliani. We also got other stuff. We've got a doctor, health official, literally laughing in the face of Republicans, which is hilarious. Joe Rogan gets corrected. I'm going to weigh in because I feel partly responsible because I have said nice things about Joe Rogan in the past. And now Joe Rogan says something absolutely idiotic, and I'm going to correct him. So this is what we do. Hey, balls and strikes, right? Well, there's some strikes. Definitely. We talk about that. And then we've got a Fox News staple. They've decided to interview people in a diner. And it went poorly, of course. And we're going to talk about somebody on the show that you may or may not have heard of. Nicholas Fuentes, the Groyper Army. I had no idea what the fuck a Groyper was. But, we're going to talk about it. Apparently, these are some dangerous people. And so I want to talk about him and his recent flip out. That's always fun. So we're going to learn a lot on this show. Again, like, what the fuck is a Groyper? What is all this about? Yeah, I know. Exactly. A lot of you are like, what is a Groyper? What the hell? Who are these people? Who's Nick Fuentes? I know. I'm going to give you a little bit of a breakdown on who that person is and what that's all about. As one of you points out, Groyper basically equals Nazi. Yes, we're going to talk about that. We are going to talk about that. Because, again, a lot of you, like, I have a really wide and varied audience. So I've got people who watch from all over. Okay? And so some of you might not be familiar with who some of these bad actors on the alt-right are. Again, it's probably my fault for not really talking about them a lot. A lot of streamers, Twitch streamers, YouTube streamers, especially on the younger side, they're really plugged in to what the alt-right is doing, who they are, who the big names on that side are, and really, what they're doing to try to radicalize people who are younger. And so, yeah, a lot of some of some of you don't. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna talk a little bit about Fuentes, and why he's in the news, and we'll talk about that. I think that's really interesting. Yes, Groyper is sometimes called the Groyper Army, a loose collection of white nationalists and far-right activists. Yeah, exactly. Again, that's why we're going to talk about him in the segment later today. And so we gotta, it helps to educate some of my older viewers who might not be familiar with the younger white nationalists that are coming out. So. Yeah, so I'm glad a lot of you do know. Again, I have one of the best audiences on YouTube, one of the best audiences in the world. You guys are super smart, and gals. And so, anyway, bring on Fatty. Hey, I could bring on Vosh. I could ask him to be on the show. Again, that was fun. Because he's actually quite plugged in and talks about these bad actors on the far right quite a bit. So I'd be more than happy to have Vosh on the show again. All right, anyway. So that said, let's do it. And by the way, I do say older viewers, like, ironically, because I'm almost 40. I'm pretty old. Myself. Yeah, and you know what? I love my Twitch audience too. Y'all are amazing. Come on. I'm saying my audience in general is amazing. I love you all. All right, anyway. Okay. Almost 40. I'm 37. So I'm still a young guy. I feel young. All right, anyway. Let's dive into it. We'll start out with Rudy. Rudy. It appears that Rudy Giuliani is in a little bit of trouble. What a fall from grace. Rudy Giuliani going from America's mayor to this guy. Yeah. So Rudy Giuliani, it's been reported in the New York Times, and it's all over now, that federal investigators, the FBI, has raided Rudy Giuliani's apartment. And they are now apparently in possession of several of his electronic devices. Good. So they're reporting that investigators in Manhattan had executed a search warrant early on Wednesday at the Upper East Side apartment of former Trump lawyer Rudy Giuliani. That's according to, of course, 3 people with knowledge of the matter. Now, that is, of course, the stepping up of the criminal investigation into Giuliani's dealings with Ukraine. So here we go. Rudy Giuliani. Federal authorities, according to the Times, have been focused on whether Mr. Giuliani illegally lobbied the Trump administration on behalf of Ukrainian officials and oligarchs. But at the same time, we're helping Mr. Giuliani search for dirt on Mr. Trump's political rivals, including former vice president and now president of the United States, Joe Biden. The U.S. Attorney's Office in Manhattan and the FBI had apparently sought to get a search warrant for Giuliani's phones. Awesome. Now, this case grew out of the case against 2 men. You had, of course, Lev Parnas and Igor Fruman. They did some crimes. They were arrested for said crimes that are actually separate from this, but that investigation grew out of those 2 other people. So this is it's pretty ironic, okay? So this entire situation where, they were trying to find dirt on Hunter Biden or Joe Biden, using Hunter Biden. And it really comes from them trying to pull a Russiagate, essentially, like a reverse Russiagate. Like, no, it wasn't Russia that interfered in the 2016 election and will not interfere in the 2020 election. No, it's the Democrats, it's Ukraine, and now we're going to try to find some information that Joe Biden had interfered in the election, and he's trying to get dirt on Trump and all this stuff. And really, in reality, here's Rudy Giuliani acting as an unregistered lobbyist from the government of Ukraine in exchange for Ukrainian officials trying to get dirt on Joe Biden. So all this stuff. I mean, wow. Okay, so there's a lot of different moving parts to this, but again, I just have to marvel at the fall of America's mayor. Supposedly getting us through 9/11, and that's why he had such high approval ratings for so long. And yet here we go. We have Rudy Giuliani, again, representing Donald Trump, which was already pretty bad. Representing Donald Trump, saying insane things, going on Fox News like he was, lit up like a Christmas tree. Okay, this guy had to have had many drinks, the greatest drinks, the best drinks, before going on Fox News, butt dialing people, telling people, incriminating himself live on air. So this guy, not very smart. What an amazing fall. What an amazing fall. This guy. Wow. Just wow. So let me give you some details, more details. While investigating Mr. Giuliani, prosecutors examined, among other things, his potential business dealings in Ukraine and the role of pushing the Trump administration to oust an American ambassador to Ukraine, which was the subject of testimony in Mr. Trump's first impeachment trial. As he was pressuring Ukrainian officials to investigate the Bidens, Giuliani became fixated on removing the ambassador, Marie L. Yovanovitch, whom she saw as an obstacle to those efforts. At the urging of Mr. Giuliani and other Republicans, Mr. Trump ultimately ousted Ms. Yovanovitch. As part of the investigation, Giuliani prosecutors explored whether he was working not only for Mr. Trump, but also for Ukrainian officials or businesses who wanted the ambassador to be dismissed for their own political/business reasons, according to people briefed in the matter. So now, again, this is about influence, and ironically, they went after the Bidens because, hiring on this private company, Ukrainian gas company, hired on Hunter Biden in order to get influence over Vice President Joe Biden. Okay, and so that, as I have talked about before. Is it corrupt? Yeah, of course. Is it a little bit of nepotism involved? Well, I mean, if you want to talk about nepotism, really, you might want to look at the Trump administration. But was that a Ukrainian effort to attempt to get access to Joe Biden? I think so. I do think so. That sort of influence, however, that sort of thing, while corrupt, isn't exactly illegal, right? What is illegal is being an unregistered foreign lobbyist. And that's what Rudy Giuliani is ultimately being investigated for. And this is under the Foreign Agents Registration Act. This is the same thing they got Paul Manafort for. Okay. And under that act, it is a federal crime to try to influence or lobby the United States government at the request or direction of a foreign official without telling the Justice Department. Literally, the easiest thing that you can do is say, hey, government, I am acting as a foreign lobbyist to the Ukraine. And you're not actually supposed to say the Ukraine. It's just Ukraine, but it's old habits. Old habits die hard. And everybody calls it the Ukraine. It's actually just Ukraine. Imagine if you called it the Great Britain, the Ireland. Anyway, okay. And look, again, we're not discussing whether or not the influence should, in that kind of corruption, the institutionalized corruption that we have, that isn't illegal, shouldn't be illegal. We're not having that discussion. I actually also agree that it should be. And we shouldn't have, these companies, corporations essentially hiring on family members in order to get access or, to get special favors for said company. I do agree that they should be illegal. I'm just saying that in this case, it's not. That's kind of the difference between the Hunter Biden stuff and the Giuliani stuff. And so what we have with the Giuliani stuff is him not doing the bare minimum and saying, hey, by the way, I'm working for the government of Ukraine and on behalf of their business interests. I am lobbying for a foreign company, which can be different than a country or a government, but I'm working for foreign nationals, essentially, and I am lobbying on their behalf. That's all you have to do is just tell them. And that's it. I mean, it's so easy. He couldn't even do that. He couldn't even register as a foreign agent. Now, the prosecutors have also scrutinized Mr. Giuliani's dealings with Yuri Lutsenko, one of the officials who helped Mr. Giuliani and his associates get in their dirt-digging mission while urging them to work to get that ambassador removed, among other things. Prosecutors have examined discussions Mr. Giuliani had about taking on hundreds of thousands of dollars in apparently unrelated consulting business from Mr. Lutsenko, which resulted in a draft retainer agreement that was never executed. Giuliani said he had turned down that deal, which would have involved him helping the Ukrainian government, working directly for the Ukrainian government, to recover money it believed had been stolen and taken overseas. So, what it looks to me from this is Giuliani is in a little bit of trouble for trying to make a buck. And, apparently, if you don't tell the government you're trying to make a dollar, they can come after you for it. So, and not only that, but again, acting on behalf of the government, Donald Trump in this case, in order to use government resources to help dig up dirt on Joe Biden during an election. Now, what's interesting is that we're hearing about this now because for a while, the Trump administration had blocked the Justice Department from doing these things, from going and doing these investigations. Now, this was blocked by senior political appointees, and yet after Biden got into office, Merrick Garland, and after Garland was confirmed as Biden's Attorney General, the Justice Department then lifted its objections to these search warrants. And while a warrant, as the New York Times says, is not an explicit accusation of wrongdoing against Giuliani, it does show that the investigation has entered what they call an aggressive new phase. Now, you have to also, because though you have to have investigators persuading a judge that they have sufficient reason to believe that a crime is being committed and that a search will turn up evidence of a crime, because you have to have that means that Giuliani might be in a little bit of trouble. Just saying. Now, they also, in the case of Rudy Giuliani, since he is a lawyer, since he also represented the former president of the United States of America, you have to have the influence, or I should say, the consultation of the Justice Department. So they have to talk to the Justice Department in order to make sure that any of the stuff that they seize does not include records that might damage attorney-client privilege. So there's that. So understand that context means that these investigations, these raids are not done for no reason. There is absolutely a reason that they had to have these serious accusations and also have to believe that they would find something that would indicate a crime and evidence against Giuliani. And so this is not good. It's not good for him. Okay, not good at all. And so again, Rudy Giuliani facing some serious accusations, and this is just another step. Nothing really good comes from an FBI raid on your apartment, and so We're gonna see what happens. We're gonna see the trial by combat in the court of in the law, the court of law. And so all I have to say, good luck. Sad. Oh boy. Fun times. Moving on. Let's go to the next story. Let's have fun. Oh, by the way, if you haven't already, please like and share the stream. We're having fun here. All the networks. Yes. It's true. A California health official could not stop himself from laughing at a Republican and his ridiculous conspiracy theories. So now, this happened during a hearing on COVID-19 vaccinations in California. Now, here you're going to see a video with the Republican Orange County Supervisor Don Wagner asking some ridiculous questions. Take a look. All right, hold on. I'm aware that there is no sound for some reason.
Is that being done anywhere?
Of course, no sound. My sound is kind of messed up right now. So this is what happens when I unplug something and plug it back in a different thing. Because of course, right? No, I will. No, it's not muted. It's not muted. I'm aware. Here's what I need to do in order to fix it. I'm going to have to get into my settings here in OBS. I'm sorry. Yes, OBS. And I'm going to have to play around with it. Because of course. All right. Hold. So I think what I need to do is take a break and fix my sound issues. I will be back in just a minute. Stay right here.
Of a tracking device is Is there any in the vaccine? We heard about an injection of a tracking device. Is that being done anywhere?
There's insanity in the control room. Who's got a hammer?
Hey everybody, welcome back to the show. I'm the Nation right here, Waldorf Nation. Oh man. So apparently we crossed the streams, we crossed the wires. We had some issues. But don't worry, we're back. We're back. We got it. We got the sound, everybody. It's all good. So we're all good. We're gonna get back to the show. We got videos. And the reason I needed to fix that is because we got a bunch of videos for today's show. So let's do it. All right. Jumping back in. All right. We'll just do it over again. Do it over again. A California health official could not stop laughing during hearing on COVID vaccines. Now, specifically, Republican Orange County Supervisor Don Wagner started asking some pretty stupid questions. Take a look.
Does it? Is there any intention of tracking folks?
Nope.
Is there any in the vaccine? We heard about an injection of a tracking device. Is that being done anywhere? In Orange County?
I'm sorry, I just have to compose myself. There is not a vaccine with a tracking device embedded in it that I know of exists in the world. Period.
Okay. All right. Wow. Are they tracking us? He says as his smartphone dangles from his hip. Are you serious? Are you serious? Here's the thing. Every time you get on an electronic device, you know that you're being tracked. Okay, that device is tracked. Now, mostly it's being tracked by people trying to sell you shit. Okay, why would they? Why would they? A very nebulous concept here. Why would they have to inject you with a microchip when, in order to track you, when you literally voluntarily carry one of these around, which is a tracking device? It's so stupid. It's so dumb. By the way, every time you log on to Facebook, you are being tracked, again, by corporations, right, that are using your data to try to sell you things, okay? And not only that, but we live in a literal police state where you have cameras essentially everywhere. I mean, but no. Apparently, it's the government that wants to track you through vaccines. That's ridiculous. Never mind that the government doesn't manufacture the vaccines. You know what? But interestingly enough, we did fund the development of these vaccines because what? All that money went to private corporations and executive bonuses. Pharmaceutical companies are actually making a killing from this, from this pandemic, as they normally do in the form of course, gigantic subsidies in order to develop vaccines. But here's the thing. Here's the thing that I really want to get across to all the right-wingers that are watching who think that, the government is tracking them. You are not important enough to track. You are not important enough to waste money on a microchip. It's true. It's true. Even if it were possible for this to do, no one cares enough about you, person sitting in Paducah right now, to inject you with a vaccine tracker. I'm just saying. What would be the point? What would be the point? There is no point. It's just ridiculous. GPS tracking on some people's cars. Okay. There's other things too. Okay. Other ways that you could be potentially tracked. But no, vaccines. No. Of course. But here's the thing about conspiracy theories that I've noticed. I'm sure you have too. Okay. They really appeal to people's desire to feel important. Okay. To feel like you're special. Okay. To feel like somebody, that you're a big enough thorn in the side of the government. Rando ass podcaster. And I say this, because I am a rando ass podcaster. Nobody knows who I am. You think a politician knows who I am? No. You think that they know? Young Turks, for example, not a lot of politicians really know or had known who they are, even when they were over millions, a couple million subscribers. So seriously, you think they know who you are on the right? Come on, dude. Seriously. Come on. You're not special. You're not special. Jesus. And that's kind of why this is funny and also incredibly disheartening. Okay. And so that's also why it's so difficult to get people away from some of these ridiculous conspiracy theories. Okay. It's they want to feel special. They want a community, and believe it or not, they want to feel like they're the good guy. They want to be the hero of the story. Okay. The only problem is, in a lot of these cases, they end up being the bad guys that, prevent progress. Okay, they're the people that rail against vaccines, the anti-vaxxers. They're only bringing harm to their communities. It's true. It's true. And that's not being a hero. Getting a vaccine is sensible because it follows the science. And it also puts the needs of your community first. All right. And finally, by the way, if somehow the government decided that they wanted to track people with through vaccines, right? I would actually take that over dealing with COVID. Seriously. Because what are you going to do? What are you going to find on me? All right? What are you going to find on me? I barely leave my house. Do I really care if you know that I go to the store a couple times a week? What does it matter? I mean, I barely left my house before COVID. You think things are going to change all that much afterwards? No. Any CIA handler for me would be incredibly bored. They wouldn't care at all. I'm just saying. Like, boring. Boring. No, this whole thing's ridiculous. All right, let's move on. Oh my God, I'm a lid. Oh my God. Don't put labels on people. All right, anyway. No, I'm making fun of the people who talk about having a CIA handler. Obviously, I agree with Edward Snowden. We have a massive security state, and that is dangerous. That is problematic. But it's just the arguments are so stupid. All right, anyway, let's go to more anti-vaxxer ridiculousness. And some people take me too seriously too when I'm trying to make fun of people. All right. Whew. I think this is the first time I've been watching where I actually, oh my God, you realize that I've done videos on Snowden plenty of times, Scott. Like, go look through the history. I've done videos on Snowden. Come on. I've always been on the side of, by the way, pardon Snowden, pardon reality winner, pardon Assange. So, y'all. I blame the YouTube algorithm for not serving those videos up. Just saying. All right. Since you've been watching, how long have you been watching? You should go back. At least a couple of years. All right. Anyway, I'm just wasting time. Let's go after Joe Rogan. All right. So Joe Rogan is one of the most popular podcasters to listen to on the internet. He's got millions of listeners, millions of subscribers, and actually he's a pretty genuinely entertaining person to listen to. That's why he's getting criticized for not only platforming some pretty despicable people, but also spreading and supporting transphobia, and now doing some anti-vax arguments. In fact, here's the most recent one.
And people say, do you think it's safe to get vaccinated? I've said, yeah, I think for the most part it's safe to get vaccinated. I do. But if you're like 21 years old and you say to me, should I get vaccinated? I go, no. Yeah. Are you healthy? Are you a healthy person? Like, look, don't do anything stupid, but you should take care of yourself. You should, if you're a healthy person and you're exercising all the time and you're young and you're eating well, like, I don't think you need to worry about this.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you.
But there's a lot of jobs that will tell you you need to have this.
Well, that's what's starting to happen now.
People are worried about them doing it for their children. And we talked about this earlier. Yeah. There's that you might have to have your children vaccinated. And, you know, I can tell you as someone who's both my children got the virus, it was nothing. I mean, I hate to say that. If someone's children died from this, I'm very sorry that happened. I'm not in any way diminishing that, but I'm saying the personal experience that my children had with COVID was nothing. One of the kids had a headache. The other one didn't feel good for a couple days. Yeah. Like maybe, I mean, not feel good. Like no big deal. No coughing. Right. No achy. No like in agony. There was none of that. It was very mild. It was akin to them getting a cold.
All right. So before I dive into it, just to let you know, I'm going to have sound issues throughout the entire show. It's just what it is. All right. So Joe Rogan. So take note that Joe Rogan is not a medical professional. You should not be taking Joe Rogan's advice. That said, I am also not a medical professional. But what I am doing that is different than Joe Rogan is that I am listening to the doctors. I am listening to the medical consensus. So now, I do agree with one thing, okay? You should probably exercise. You should be healthy. All that stuff's good. Not a problem. And you should take this virus incredibly seriously, okay? Because being healthy has nothing to do with whether or not you're going to get sick from a virus, okay? A virus can attack a healthy person and devastate them, make them incredibly sick. They could even die. We have seen this happen, okay? Or in a lot of cases, you could be completely fine. There's a lot that we don't know about this virus itself. So it's really like taking a gamble. It's rolling the dice. Now, we do know, thankfully, that vaccines will be able to put a stop to this virus. That's why everybody should get one, okay? Even if you're young and healthy, if you're a 21-year-old, you should absolutely get the vaccine. That's not me saying that. That's experts. That is medical science. And I'm going to show you a video here from Dr. Anthony Fauci, who was asked about these comments from Joe Rogan. Let's take a look at that.
About this, made comments about young people getting vaccinated. It's getting a lot of buzz. He said, if you're like 21 years old and you say to me, should I get vaccinated? I say no. If you're a healthy person and you're exercising all the time and you're young and you're eating well, I don't think you need to worry about this. Saying young, healthy people shouldn't get vaccinated. Just quickly, your response?
Well, that's incorrect, Savannah. And the reason why is that you're talking about yourself in a vacuum then. You're worried about yourself getting infected and likelihood that you're not going to get any symptoms. But you can get infected and will get infected if you put yourself at risk. And even if you don't have any symptoms, you're propagating the outbreak because it is likely that you, even if you have no symptoms, that you may inadvertently and innocently then infect someone else who might infect someone who really could have a problem with a severe outcome. Yeah. So if you want to only worry about yourself and not society, then that's okay. But if you're saying to yourself, even if I get infected, I could do damage to somebody else, even if I have no symptoms at all. And that's the reason why you've got to be careful and get vaccinated.
Yeah, so you say young, healthy people should get vaccinated.
Absolutely.
There it is. There it is. Get the vaccine. I don't know what the issue with Rogan is, okay? I don't think he realizes how viruses work. Okay, I don't think he realized that you could spread the virus to other people. He was mainly talking about himself. Oh yeah, well if you're healthy, if you're yeah, well of course you'll be fine. But the whole thing about getting vaccines is not just protecting yourself; it's also protecting other people. Okay, and as far as kids go, kids do actually do better than adults with this virus. That doesn't mean that they can't get infected and become carriers. That's also why children, when there is a vaccine for them, should also get vaccinated. But also, even more important as to why every adult should get vaccinated too, before we have one that's available for children. So it's very important that everybody, as many people possible, end up getting the vaccine so we can develop a herd immunity. And by the way, children, okay, you use an anecdote, Andy, okay, whatever, right? That's great. I'm glad your kids didn't have any complications. That's wonderful, right? But there are children that have gotten sick. There are children that have died from this virus. And that is not to mention that there's also a very high survival rate. But there are people that, as a result of COVID, end up getting something called long haul COVID. Okay? Long haul COVID. Or they get organ damage, neurological damage. There are things that could take a healthy person who exercises often and make them unable to be able to catch their breath doing even the slightest of things. So being young and healthy does not prevent you from enduring massive damage as a result of getting this virus. All of those reasons, plus the possibility of a mutation that could end up doing the ability of the vaccine to protect us. So undoing all the work that the scientists have done in crafting a vaccine, because you have a variant that somehow was able to break through that vaccine and no longer make it, able to protect us. That is another problem. That's also why we shouldn't let the virus go unchecked, or even a more lethal variant. This is why, these are so many reasons why everyone should get the vaccine. Okay? Joe Rogan, again, is not a doctor. He has no medical knowledge whatsoever. Okay? Now, if you want to listen to Rogan about things like MMA, well, yeah, MMA, diet, exercise, that's where he shines. That's his wheelhouse. MMA stuff, that's what he's good at. Okay? That's where you should listen. He is obviously, in those cases, much more knowledgeable than I am. But when it comes to medical science, listen to the actual experts. And also when it comes to, politics, he's not an expert on politics, medicine, or trans issues, especially. Oof. Which, again, makes it dangerous when he parrots disinformation or platforms and often agrees with terrible people. And the problem, again, with his reach being so large is that it can spread those terrible ideas. And I think he needs to be a little bit more responsible with the things that he says and does on his show. And again, I have given him credit for pushing back on some of these terrible people that he has platformed. And I think that he should do that. If he's going to have on terrible people, well then, yes, you obviously have to push back. And he has. And I have given him credit before. He's not Dave Rubin, who never pushes back on anything. What I think Joe Rogan needs to do is he needs to have somebody like, it doesn't have to be Dr. Fauci, but to have an immunologist on the show to explain how vaccines work and why you should get one even if you're healthy. Okay? That would be responsible platforming. And I think content creators, because they have such big reach, because they have such big influence, and because they talk about these issues, need to start taking more responsibility and actually doing the right thing and stopping the spread of disinformation. All right. All right, moving on. Dave Rubin. I'm sorry, I like making fun of him. He's got big ideas. Huge ideas. Again, I got another video, so it's gonna break. It's not gonna work right. Okay. It's not gonna work. Just letting you know. We're gonna do it live, folks. We're gonna do it live. You know why?
There's insanity in the control room.
There really is. Insanity in the control room. Fox News sure loves getting the opinion of people in diners. I'm not exactly sure why, but I guess it's a good thing that they do because, well, you get some really entertainingly bad quotes like this guy.
Tell me what you feel like right now is one of your biggest concerns, with the state of the country right now.
Obviously, I'm concerned with the threat of gun control and illegal immigration, but my biggest concern as a Christian is the fact that, decade after decade, fewer and fewer people are going to church, claiming Jesus Christ as their Lord and Savior. And I also am concerned that people my age and people younger than me, I feel like, have lost the knowledge of American exceptionalism and the fact that I do believe that we're the greatest country on the history of the earth. And I feel like, like it says in the Bible and like Ronald Reagan echoed in the 80s, I feel like America's supposed to be the city on the hill, and we're supposed to be the example for the rest of the world as Christians and as patriots, and I feel like we're starting to lose that, and it concerns me.
Here. These guys.
Here. Okay. So let's break down the stupid. So now we are in the middle of the spike in the pandemic. Okay. So look, we got a lot of vaccines out there, but there are spikes in several states. Michigan's one of them. Okay. And our progress is being threatened by anti-maskers. And yet the number one concern of this man is people not going to church, not having enough Jesus, followed by, of course, gun control and immigration. Gun control, by the way, is not going to get through Congress. Not with people like Joe Manchin. In fact, almost nothing is going to get through Congress because of people like Joe Manchin. Okay. And again, illegal immigration. The Fox propaganda machine, it works. This is proof. Understand that the reason I show you this is because this is what's filtered through the right-wing media. Okay? Now, the other thing is American exceptionalism. American exceptionalism. Yeah. Look, I love this country. Okay? I love the promise of America. That said, we are failing. I should say it, not we, but the country has failed to live up to that expectation. Okay? In fact, we are exceptional in some pretty terrible ways. We are a wealthy country, one of the wealthiest, if not the wealthiest, and we have done fuck all for our citizens. For example, education. Where do we rank? Are we exceptional? Well, despite the United States having the second best education system globally, we actually consistently score lower than other countries in benchmarks such as math and science. So that is not exceptional. According to the Business Insider report from 2018, education ranking in this country was 38th in math and 24th in science. These rankings were based on 3 different factors. A well-developed public education system, which we do not have. We have an education system that actually fails people because of the way that it's funded, fails people in inner cities. Wealthy areas have the best schools, best equipment. Inner city schools are literally falling apart, where you don't have access to books or materials. And of course, that has a massive impact on the ability for people in inner cities to get good jobs and go to college. Another thing is, of course, the cost of college. Our universities in this country are top notch. Big problem is that most people can't afford to go to them without massing up a huge, massive amount of debt. Okay. On healthcare, it's even worse. It's even more exceptionally bad. Okay. Despite having the most expensive healthcare system in the world, the United States actually ranks last overall, compared with 6 other industrialized countries: Australia, Canada, Germany, Netherlands, New Zealand, and the UK, on measures of quality, efficiency, access to care, equity, and the ability to lead long, healthy, and productive lives, according to a Commonwealth Fund report. Sad. Not only that, but the United States is incredibly exceptional at funding the military to the tune of over $700 billion, more than 6 other countries combined, and using that money to, of course, bomb brown people in the Middle East while people here in America die from not being able to get insulin. So that's what we have. All of these things. Oh, by the way, the United States is also exceptional in throwing people in prison. We have the highest prison population out of the entire world as well. So, exceptional. Very exceptional. Now, all of these things, since I love this country, since I am a real patriot, I actually would like to fix to make this country better. Okay? I realize that America is not just not the best in the world just because we say that we're the best. We actually have to try to be good, be a better country. And for doing that, you actually have to admit that we are not doing well. We're doing very, very poorly. And so this whole American exceptionalism thing, the interesting thing is we could be exceptional if we wanted to, and we're not. And so now, again, the other ridiculous thing here is the city on the hill. Okay. The city on the hill thing. He made this Bible reference. Okay. It wasn't even right. His Bible reference. Here's the thing about that. America didn't exist at the time of the Bible. I mean, neither did guns or white Jesus. All right. That said, the book of Matthew did refer to the city on the hill. But when you look at it in context, it has nothing to do with this country. It has nothing to do with an actual city on the hill. In fact, the passage read, "You are the light of the world. A city that is set on the hill cannot be hidden." And now when you read that, that doesn't make sense. So what if we give it some context? Here's the full passage. "You are the salt of the earth. But if the salt loses its savor, how can it be made salty again? It is no longer good for anything except to be thrown out and trampled by men. You are the light of the world. A city on a hill cannot be hidden. Neither do people light a lamp and put it under a basket," because it would catch the basket on fire. "Instead, they set it on a stand, and it gives light to everyone in the house." What does that have to do with America? Nothing. Nothing. I get why people want to associate us with a city on a hill. Like, oh, we're the greatest. We're the city on the hill. And that's going back to the Ronald Reagan quote. But really, all of this seems meaningless to my heathen brain. I don't get it. The only thing I can get is wanting to throw somebody out for not being salty enough. And believe me, I'm real salty. Real salty. So, lesson learned. America's not exceptional, and be more salty about it. Good lessons. Good lesson. Moving on. One more story for y'all. And it doesn't involve a video. All right. Y'all may have heard of Nick Fuentes. If you haven't, let me give you some details about him. First, he is a 22-year-old white nationalist, and he is raging after the government has seized a significant amount of money from him and put him on the no-fly list. Now, some of you might be wondering who Nick Fuentes is, who this essentially child, okay, young person. So let me give you a quick overview of who he is. Now, Fuentes is a far-right nationalist. He hosts something called the America First Show and was an avid supporter of President Donald Trump. He actually got his start attending the 2017 Unite the Right rally in Charlottesville. So, you know, that place, that is where Heather Heyer was murdered by a right-wing nationalist. This is where also all these far right-wingers were carrying around tiki torches and saying that the Jews would not replace us. That is the same event where Donald Trump had referred to both sides, good people on both sides. Great. Or fine people on both sides, to be more clear. So from there, he became the leader of something called the Groyper movement, right? That is a group. It's a loosely knit group that attempts to normalize white nationalism within the Republican Party. So they're mad at the Republican Party for not being white nationalist enough, for not caring so much about white people, okay? And what they want to do is they basically are trying to rebrand the alt-right and to make that brand of white nationalist hatred more palatable to Republicans. Oh, they were very fine people. Yes. Okay. Now, aside from that, they also want to radicalize young college students and bring them towards down the alt-right pipeline. And so that is who this guy is. Now, the Groyper movement is described as white nationalist, homophobic, anti-Semitic, and anti-feminist. Okay? So, yeah. Now that you have the background for who this guy is, let's go to the freakout. Okay. Now, Fuentes had talked about how he his bank account was raided by the FBI, by the government. Quote, I don't like to brag or anything, but if you knew how much money they took, do you know how much I fucking hate the government? Because I woke up in one of my checking accounts, which is lots and lots and lots and lots of money, had $0. Well, it's funny because you had money. Where is it? Where is it, man? Apparently you don't have lots and lots of money. Not anymore. He says, so when people accuse me of being a Fed, it's like, you have no idea what I've been put through. Sad. Oh, sad. I couldn't imagine. It's also because I'm not a Nazi. All right. Now, it's not clear how much money was taken from Fuentes' account, but he says that it's near 6 figures. So where did he get this money? That's a good question. Well, no doubt his audience probably gives him support. I mean, there's a lot of incels, a lot of nasty people over on the right that give this guy money because he says white nationalist talking points. He also gets money from other prominent wealthy white nationalists. One example, apparently Fuentes received a $250,000 donation from a mysterious French donor through Bitcoin. Now, I thought Bitcoin is supposed to be non-traceable. Wasn't that one of the advantages of having Bitcoin, is that you don't know who, you can't like track it? Well, apparently you can track it. The donation was disclosed through an analysis or an investigation by Chain Analysis, or I'm sorry, Yeah, Chainalysis, a group that tracks Bitcoin. The investigation found that the donor was a French computer programmer who had transferred a total of $522,000 to various U.S. far-right figures. The largest went to, of course, Mr. Fuentes. Now, in a suicide note, oh man, this got dark. In a suicide note published as a blog, the donor expressed support for far-right views, including the false belief that George Floyd died from a drug overdose and the idea that COVID-19 is a hoax perpetuated by world governments as a justification to restrict civil liberty. It basically complete and utter lies. That's why I decided to leave my modest wealth to certain causes and people, he wrote. That's a weird hill to die on, man. But at least he's dead. Just saying. $500,000 too, by the way, is not entirely modest. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of cash. And a $250,000 donation to somebody like Fuentes, not good. That's significant. So why did the government take it? I don't know why they took his money. The FBI is not saying anything. They're also not really saying why he's on the no-fly list, but we can assume it's because of his role in possibly inciting some of the people that tried to invade the Capitol on January 6th. Fuentes, in response to that, went nuts, went crazy. Here's what he said in this rant. Maybe by 2100 we'll be able to say that white people are under attack or something. By that point, we'll be in the history books. At that point, it'll be Chinese overlords and a new Hispanic African protectorate of the People's Republic of China, teaching them about the Europeans in the history class. We'll be extinct. Yikes. He then continued by saying, and this is where incitement comes into play, and he regularly does this on his show. People got to start doing something about this. We're all going to die. We're all going to die anyway at some point, but we're all going to be killed. We're going to be killed. We're all going to die and hopefully go to heaven. But we'll all be killed. I mean, they'll expedite the death process. We will not be dying of old age. We will be dying of a black person bonking you in the head with some foreign object. You'll be dying of, I don't know, some COVID vaccination squad shooting a tranquilizer dart in your throat. Wow! All of that is certainly something. That is some stuff. Whew. Just, wow. Yes. It is the white. It's the replacement theory stuff. Okay. That's what that is. Okay. And scary is a good word for this because again, he's somebody who has I think he cultivates a pretty big audience on the social medias. And here he is putting out an obvious dangerous call to action. This is the stuff that incites people into violence. And by the way, now with this happening, he's allowed to basically turn himself into a martyr. And that's a problem. Again, somebody who has reach, somebody who has a very dangerous ideas and conspiracy theories. And what he's talking about is white replacement, which is at the core of white nationalist rhetoric and is been used by people to justify violence against people who are immigrants, essentially, to this country, people who are not, white. And look, I have no doubt, as I mentioned before, his rhetoric incites people to violence. And one person, for example, who is a self-described Groyper named Christian Sikor, has already been arrested and has been indicted for obstructing an official proceeding, assaulting, resisting, and impeding officers, civil disorder, among other charges, for his role in invading the Capitol on January 6th. Which, by the way, Fuentes was there, and he was out. He says he was outside and not inside the building. And still, so this is dangerous. This guy is absolutely unhinged. The big lesson I think that you could take from this, at least that I can take from this, you could take other things from him, the fact that this guy is insane, or the greed is helping him, or anything like that. The thing that I want to take from it is that and I hear this a lot from libs, so I'm really kind of targeting that this message to you guys and gals. This thinking will not go away if the older generations are left for themselves. Okay, this is not a situation where, don't worry, we just need to wait for the racist old people to die. No, that's not it. Okay, the alt-right movement is actively recruiting younger people. They're going into the colleges. They're going into the, into chat rooms, into the 4chans, and all that, into the games, the video gamers. And they're going in and recruiting people from there. Young men, boys. They're exposing them to alt-right ideology. And that's something that we need to pay attention to that. Okay? You cannot just wait for this to die off. That is not a thing that you can do. What you have to do is de-radicalize people. You have to take them from the alt-right. Okay? You've got to lead them away from people like this. These unhinged bad actors, okay? You've got to bring people back from reality, away from the hate. As you say, ignoring this will not make the problem go away. We have to get at the root of white supremacy. We have to root it out, and we have to challenge and stop these bad actors from radicalizing more people. That is how you ultimately stop the ideology. Okay. A lot of comments from you all. Let's see. Oh, wow. Check out Demon Mama Spiritual Deconstruction. It's on the to-do list. Let's see. They found adult Ukrainian Ukrainian adult videos on his laptop. Oh, Rudy's? Okay. Hey, thank you, Trevor Watson, for that kind $5. Dr. Zippy Scoot says they're injecting little men inside of us with the vaccine like inner space. Didn't you know that? All right. That's fun. Right-wingers don't want their location tracked because it would mean the FBI would know their current hangout plans for another coup. That's a good point. Sanchez has started pardons, heads with a literal fascist over a non-fascist because he hated Clinton, a woman more. I get where you're coming from, but again, if you're acting as a journalistic outlet, which WikiLeaks was, even though they've got a political motive, because understand, like, you'd have to apply the same standard to like the Washington Post or New York Times, which absolutely sided with Hillary Clinton over somebody, for example, like Bernie Sanders. And so you got to be careful in drawing the line, like, oh, you support this and this person, but you're not breaking any laws. I mean, then we shouldn't support cracking down on journalists, even if we disagree with them. Okay, let me just say that. All right. So I guess we'll sort of disagree on that. According to the CDC, 95% of the population who's died of COVID-19 have been over 50, while 0.43% have been under 30. I'll have to check your numbers, Joe. I'll have to double check your numbers. But we do know hospitalizations are up. So, we have got to or I should say we should see that. We should definitely think about that as well. Hospitalizations of young people are up, and again, you've got long COVID and you've got organ damage and things like that. Just because you don't lie doesn't mean you're unaffected by COVID-19. So that is something to. Let's see. Stone gets a pardon. Assange does not get the pardon. Signed information how bad Trump is, and refused to publish it because of misogyny. Oh yeah, he refused to publish it. That's true. That doesn't mean he should go to prison for refusing to do a scoop on Trump. I'm just saying. Okay. Anyway, I gotta go. I gotta do a whole bunch of editing over this thing because of all the things that messed up with the show today. So that's going to be a lot of fun, or not. It's going to suck. But anyway, thank you all for going around the nation with me today. Please like and share the stream. Like and share the stream. Very important. Share the videos. Subscribe if you haven't already. By the way, Nick advocated for violence against airline workers. That's ridiculous. Nick Fuentes is a bad person. Definitely a bad person. All right. Anyway, we'll see you all later. You have a good night. And remember, change begins with you. Night Nation. See you all later.
Wet ass P-word.
Give me a break. Dumps. Big, massive dumps.
Please clap.
Mike Pence.
They're kicking me out the door. They're kicking me out the door.